Leanne Jopson is National Director for Property Management at Metropole. In this chat, I want to find out more from Leanne about how she sees her role as more than just a property manager managing a property on behalf of an owner. Also, how it can and should be about helping an investor use the property as a springboard to developing a portfolio. Now that requires building a trusted relationship. Leanne, welcome to Rockend Rockstars.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Leanne, I jumped onto your website and had a look and saw a video of you, and you told a great video too, by the way, but you told a really interesting story about the transition from a tenant to a landlord. We'll talk about that, but that must be such a rewarding experience for you to see that happen.
It absolutely is. I've been in property management a very long time, so it's really great to have gone through that process with people. But certainly working for Metropole and being exposed to all the different components of investment, it really gives myself and my team the opportunity to work with clients over that entire journey.
Yeah, and that's not an easy thing to do too, because you've got to develop a huge amount of trust with the person. How do you go about doing that?
I think, first and foremost, it's a team effort. There's not one single person in our team that could possess all of the specialised skills, knowledge, experience to be able to hold a relationship for that long at the depth that we need to go to. But I think it's also at the very start realising two things. One, that we're on this journey for the client's benefit, and the idea is to determine the client's goals and to achieve them, not for ours. As a property manager, you can get caught up in your own KPIs. It's actually about maintaining those client goals. And the second part is understanding that what we're building as a company and as a property manager is not a relationship that's going to last a 4-week sales campaign or a 4-week leasing campaign, but actually much longer than that. The journey from being a first-time renter to being a multi-property owner is obviously not something you can do in 4 weeks, 4 years. It's a much longer process in most cases, and that's a longer education, relationship building, knowledge basis, and working a number of components as you go along through that process.
Yeah, what struck me when I watched the video, Leanne, was the mindset or the point that you made about not just being a property manager, but understanding their needs, what they're capable of doing, but also things like cash flow and understanding the importance to them of making sure that this is a stepping stone to building that portfolio. It's a really different way to look at the profession, I think.
Absolutely. And that goes back to what I was saying before about what are the client's goals, and they will change over time as well. And depending on your stage of investment, if you're a first-time investor or a first-time home buyer, it's nervous. You've got this big debt and you're really interested in my job or my cash flow to be able to pay that mortgage. As you sort of get a little bit more through that and you're now comfortable paying your mortgage off or making your repayments, the next step is how can I manufacture capital growth? How can I increase the equity so I can move on to my next project? And again, as we move through a life, our purpose for doing that. When we're young, it's about overseas trips and nice cars. As we get a little bit older, it's probably about a wedding, and then it becomes about children and school fees, and then eventually a transition to retirement, and that changes the scope of things as you go through.
You mentioned there that it's a team effort. I guess therefore it's fairly critical that you're particularly careful about who you bring onto the team. What do you look for when you're appointing a new property manager? What are the traits?
There's there's two elements to it. When first of all, at Metropole, we're really lucky. We've got a full scope of investment services. So we've got buyers advocacy, vendors advocacy, property strategists, wealth creation, even business coaching. So we've got a lot of people that we can draw on. So I think it's number one is the people that I'm looking for must have a genuine passion for learning everything investment and a really genuine desire to learn all the other things that they don't know. We know about arrears, collecting rent. We know about arrears. We know about maintenance. We know about those kinds of things. But getting into the other facets that really make your property management service far different from your standard, collect the rent, report the maintenance type of a scenario. And again, that longer journey.
Yeah, it's amazing the business that Michael and the team have built there at Metropole, because you went across the different areas, including wealth creation, as opposed to not taking anything away from other property management businesses, but you do have a very deep breadth of knowledge inside that business, which I guess helps you, work on that goal of turning your landlords into investors.
Absolutely. And I think it's great to have that understanding of, as a property manager, or be able to go and talk to, as a property manager and as a career, to be able to go and talk to people that can fill in your knowledge gaps and to give you an understanding of what the purpose of having this property is, what the goal is that we're trying to achieve for this client. And that can affect things about maintenance. There can be reasons why landlords don't want to perform maintenance on one property, but will do anything on another property. And it all depends on the strategy that we've got in place and what we're trying to achieve. Again, understanding those goals helps us build those relationships as a property manager. It changes the way we communicate with them. It changes the decisions that we make and the things that we'll go and investigate for that client.
Yeah, we focus a lot on growth, and while growth is very important, so too is retention. And retaining clients is all about having that genuine care and really helping them achieve their own goals. If I could just take you in another direction for a moment, I want to talk broadly about the industry. We've been through some difficult times, particularly in the last 6 months or so. What do you see ahead in the next 12 to 18 months as challenges for the industry? And given the fact that you are looking at that, what are you doing to prepare your business for them?
Yeah. Look, the biggest challenge that we're going to have is the market itself, and what's the biggest impactor on the market at the moment, or the biggest factor on the market at the moment. That's definitely COVID. The reality is that market rent is declining. We've got lots of tenants that are now on deeds of variance or payment plans or that kind of thing. And in property management, we're basically paid based on the amount of rent that we collect. Therefore, we're going to see, every business is going to see a declining revenue. What's really, really important is that declining revenue shouldn't see a decline in service. In fact, if anything, we really need to focus on increasing the service. It's great to have clients and celebrate the booms, but it's even more important to be there supporting, educating, working hard for the landlord during these times where it's not as easy. So I think a real focus on that customer service and a real focus on support and education. Let's face it, across the board at the moment, we've got changes in legislation and circumstances, almost not so much daily now, but it was there for a good month or so, where there were changes to things every day, and a lot of fear. And it's really about, again, making sure that we're in a position to support and nurture our landlords and our tenants during this process. Yeah. That's probably the largest challenge that we're going to have.
Wonderful to hear you speak like that, Leanne. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. I want to ask you a couple of questions now. I mean, obviously this is a show for Rockend, so we would like to talk about Rockend. You are one of the rock stars. They've asked us especially to speak to you because you use Rockend and Property Tree. Can I ask you about technology, therefore, and how that has helped you achieve your goal of helping your investors build their portfolio? Tell me about your technology.
Absolutely. Well, as you've just alluded to, we moved to Property Tree across our offices at the beginning of this year, and I am so glad that we did, insofar as when we had to instantaneously change from working from home, we were already set up, we were already cloud-based. We were able to do that, not seamlessly, but certainly when you think about that, we did it within a 24-hour time period.
Wow.
That's amazing.
And it's not as if you've got a small rent roll either.
No, it's definitely not, and it's across 3 states as well. So to be able to do that, as I said, the move to Property Tree is perfect timing for us, and to get ready for that. And I think perhaps the other thing is, again, what we were moving to, and one of the factors that we chose to go with Property Tree as well, is that we wanted to be able to communicate more freely with our clients, to be able to have information for them available 24/7. And what Property Tree will enable us to do is obviously have those tenant and landlord portals, and be able to get that communication and contact there live 24/7 for our clients. So that's also a great move. We also have a lot of clearly interstate, but also international clients, and again, being able to communicate in that way is really important. Plus, a great integration that you get. Our office is also paperless, so being able to integrate with Inspection Express and paperless condition reports, Detector Inspector, one of the latest updates. There's a number of factors there that really, really help us in being able to communicate and have the flexibility to deal with whatever's thrown our way, including worldwide pandemics and a complete change and restructure in the way that we work.
Yeah, it's certainly made it easier, hasn't it? I mean, I think in a way COVID sort of accelerated our ability or our need to work remotely, but with programs like Property Tree, that transition was very, very easy, or easier, I might say.
Absolutely. It's just the ease of the IT. It's the ease of, okay, I'm out at a property, but I can see everything that I need to be able to see. I'm working from my couch today, but I can still get the phone numbers and contacts that I need. Right. I can look at the last lease agreement that I drew up. I can look back at the previous condition reports, and you can do that from anywhere you can get an internet connection. And that's, and these days that's almost everywhere. So it's very important to be able to have that.
Just in closing, could I ask you, this is personal now, but could I ask you about, is there any piece of tech that you wouldn't be without?
Well, the internet, that's become a very, very, very obvious one at the moment. And, I would have always, pre-COVID, I would have said my mobile phone was permanently attached. But one thing more recently that I realised that I just could not do without, and that's my dual monitors, the ability to have Property Tree on one screen and talking to my clients via Zoom on the other, the ability to in Property Tree have, the tenants and landlords details up there, plus have a document on the other screen, and we're paperless. So just that sounds silly, but dual screens, got to have them.
Well, I haven't got dual screens, but I often wished I did. I've got a screen here and another one over there, but they don't work in unison. And, that's something that I'll have to look at, I guess. Hey, Leanne, it's been wonderful talking to you. Thank you. You've got a beautiful way of expressing what you do, and I think you bring us a huge amount of passion to what you do. So all the success in the world to you and your team, and thank you very much for joining us on Rockend Rockstars.
My absolute pleasure. Take care. Thank you.